Park, a new beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
And good day, everybody. Welcome on in. This is episode 150 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden, your host. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. As you see, my first comment here that I put in the comments, welcome to the show. Let me know your thoughts on what you just saw this series between the Braves and the Padres. Are you worried about the offense that scored a combined 6 runs in the last 3 games after scoring 12 runs in the first game in that home opener, which they won 12-3? So are you worried about the offense? You got MacKenzie Gore's debut that happened. Nick Martinez struggled a little bit, but Yu Darvish bounced back earlier tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. So there's a lot to talk about. Alex Rodriguez made some interesting comments, to say the least, that proved to me that he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about on the ESPN2 K-Rod broadcast today about Eric Hosmer and the Padres wanting to trade Eric Hosmer. So we'll get into all of that. We got Wil Myers still on the shelf, still has not played since, I think, Tuesday when he injured his thumb diving into second base. We got Clevenger, who went on a rehab assignment, Snell, Myers, Clevenger, Austin Adams, some injury updates there. Jim Callis, by the way, is coming on the show. He's scheduled to come on the show tomorrow night at like 6 o'clock, I think, Pacific time. So that'll be fun to talk about him, about the Padres farm system, what he's seen so far with MacKenzie Gore and CJ Abrams. Going to talk to him about a lot of prospects and a little bit about the draft maybe even as well that's coming up during All-Star break, during that All-Star week. So that's what's coming up tomorrow probably before the Cincinnati Reds series. But yeah, let's get right into it. Hope everyone's having a good night so far. And if you're listening on the podcast version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're getting that, I appreciate it as well. Again, Ben Fadden, your host, at Talking Friars on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure that you don't miss any video or any content that comes out. Daily Padres content every day during the season. Even when there's off days, I will have some sort of video that comes out on this YouTube channel. So I hope that you guys appreciate it. This episode is sponsored by GAGLIONE Bros Famous Cheesesteaks and Subs, cheesesteaks and garlic fries. They are inside Petco Park. They will be available tomorrow. They'll be available the whole rest of the homestand, the whole season inside Petco Park. They have their main stand by the Bally Sports San Diego broadcast booth, their pre- and post-game broadcast booth, where Sweeney and Pomeranz do their pregame and postgame show. Right across the aisle there is GAGLIONE Bros. Famous cheesesteaks, garlic fries, amazing garlic fries. I'm a Cheese Whiz guy for cheesesteaks. GAGLIONEBros.com to view their entire menu. They have 2 locations in Point Loma and Mission Gorge. If you don't go to a Padre game, there's still 2 locations in San Diego as well. Let's get to it. Let's not wait anymore. Let's get to it. Padres Braves 4-game set that happened this past weekend. The home opener on Thursday couldn't have gone any better. Pre-game, Blake Snell was placed on the IL, so that wasn't great, but it was expected. MacKenzie Gore was then officially named the starter for Friday's game, and we'll get to that to make his big league debut. It was Charlie Morton on the mound for the Braves. He threw 30-plus pitches in the first inning. So talk about working the count, really getting the opposing pitcher's pitch count up. That's exactly what happened. 2 hit-by pitches, and then Machado single costed Morton in that first inning. Bases loaded. Hosmer came up, single to center. Myers came up, single to right. That made it 3-0 in the first inning. In the bottom of the second, what a storybook start to CJ Abrams' Padre home career at Petco Park. He homers to the opposite field in his first at-bat as a San Diego Padre. That was really big for him. And, that home run, it's just the home run that he hit to left field. It was really impressive for me because usually, the power, right? That was his big, bugaboo, if you will, right? Just because people didn't really believe that he could have that power, but hits that home run, showed, he seemed a little lost at times during this series this weekend, but he had a good day to finish it off a little bit today. Did play right field during the series, but a great way. That home run to left, here, I'll pull it up real quick. For anyone that had a long weekend or whatever, kind of forgot about it. Let's see here. C.J. Abrams home run. Let's see if it can come up here. This Wi-Fi sucks here, just so you know. So bear with me. Yeah, it's kind of lagging here. Anyway, it was a home run to left field. Yeah, it's not going to cooperate with me. All right, well, it was a home run to left field. Bottom of the sixth, Voit bloops 2 RBI single. He had 3 runs driven in this game. That made it 7-0. That was his 3rd RBI of the night, by the way, because in the second, he had an RBI single as well. RBI double. That made it 5-0 Padres. In the 7th, bottom of the 7th, Manny was the story here. I know I haven't talked about him yet, but 5-hit game, homered in his not his final at bat. He went 5 for 6, but in his 5th at bat, a hanging breaking ball, deposits it into the left field seats, line drive into the left field seats. Manny made that 9-0, his 5th hit of the night. Tony Gwynn had a 6-hit game during his career, and I think that was brought up during the broadcast with Don and Mudd, and they were talking about how that 6th at bat, Manny had a chance to do that for the first time, I think, since Tony Gwynn. I believe it was that. And then they were also talking about, or someone put out on Twitter, that other 5-hit games in Padres history was like Mark Loretta, the shortstop, Everett Cabrera, I think, was one of them. Another one that I thought was a joke was John Jay. So it wasn't like amazing guys. Mark Loretta obviously was good, but Manny would have put into company that very few Padres were put in. I'll put it that way. What's up, Raven? How's it going, man? Hope you're having a good night. But yeah, Manny had a really, really, really good night. San Diego, the Padres scored 3 more runs before Albies hit that home run late. He was on fire this series, by the way. Padres liked giving him middle fastballs during the series. I'll tell you that. That was the only runs that the Braves ended up scoring. 12-1. I said 12-3 earlier. Sorry, I was thinking about another game. 12-1 was the score on Thursday. Clevenger in Lake Elsinore, by the way, he had that Lake Elsinore rehab start. He only went 2 innings, but he looked good. 5 of his 6 outs were strikeouts, didn't give up any hits. And I get it, there were single-A hitters, but at the same time, it was good. All Bob Melvin cared about, and he was saying that on Ben and Woods on Friday morning, all he cared about was that Mike Clevenger came out of that rehab start healthy, right? Came out of it healthy, and that's all they care about. Came out, obviously, had that knee issue that sidelined him and did not allow him to start the season with the team in the starting rotation. And so it seems like he's going to go out to El Paso on Tuesday to make his 2nd rehab start. Isn't clear how many innings, but it seems like the same thing. They're going to just make sure he stays healthy. Probably 3-4 innings. I wouldn't expect him to make a 3-inning jump. Maybe it's a 2-inning jump. Throws maybe 3 innings, up, down, one time before that as just a side bullpen. But we'll see. Tuesday is supposed to be that next rehab start, and then the Padres will go from there. So that's the club update. But Thursday's game, I talked about it with Ben Verlander on episode 149, which I encourage you to go check out after this episode's done, where we talked about a lot of things with Justin Verlander's brother, who works for Fox Sports. Talked about Seiya Suzuki as well, who's gotten off to a really, really hot start for the Cubs. 8-game hitting streak, I believe. So it doesn't seem like he's being overpaid so far right now. I still think it is, but again, it's early. But getting back to that Ben Verlander discussion, we were talking about Thursday's game and Manny. That led me down that road with the Manny Machado possible MVP discussion, because with Tatis out, that puts the spotlight more on Manny, right? Jake Cronenworth gotten off to a little bit more of a slow start, where with Manny, that it just puts more of a spotlight on him. Grisham's off to a slower start, right? Myers is hurt. There just isn't a whole lot of superstar offense, and Profar got off to a hot start, but he's cooled down a little bit as well. I know he hit his third home run of the season this series, but he's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start as well. So the spotlight for me is on Manny Machado in this lineup, and I think that can really help when you compare it to Freddie Freeman, right, of the Dodgers, who could be an MVP candidate, or Trey Turner, because they have so many guys in that Dodgers lineup. Freddie Freeman didn't have A.J. Pollock this year, but they have Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger. You can just go down the line, and Gavin Lux was even a top prospect, he used to be. So Chris Taylor is another guy. They have a lot of guys that can steal some power, some thunder power in that lineup that can take away maybe Freddie Freeman or Trey Turner's MVP numbers, where Manny, it seems like he's that guy right now. So I think he could really help himself, at least in the first half of the season, when Tatis is gone, to really put himself in that MVP, the forefront of that MVP discussion. Also, Ronald Acuna Jr. is not going to be available till May as well. So that's another guy. So Juan Soto, kind of on a rebuilding team, it seems like. At the deadline, the Nationals are probably going to trade a lot of guys. The Giants don't really have a real MVP candidate, I don't think, on their team, even though they should be good. Christian Yelich, I don't really know what you're going to get out of him, right? For the Mets, they don't have like a firm MVP guy. I know they're 7-3 right now, so they've gotten off to a good start to start the year. But for me, they don't really have that MVP offensive player, where the Padres with Manny Machado, if he can continue hitting well. I know these last couple of days haven't been great offensively, but if he can continue to hit well, I think he's really going to put himself at the forefront of that MVP discussion. But that was my main takeaway. I know Abrams, that was a great story with the home run to left, but with Manny, 5-hit game, holy cow. Credit to Ben Higgins. I'm trying to get him on. So reach out to Ben Higgins and say, Ben, Fadden wants you on the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. I think he'd be great to have the Ben and Ben show. So hopefully you guys can at him on Twitter to get that going. But Ben Higgins was saying on Friday on Ben and Woods, and he put it great, talking about how Thursday was like the perfect symphony. If Bob Melvin was directing the perfect symphony. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Joe Musgrove, right? Love that guy. 6 2/3 shutout innings. You just couldn't have been better. That was just an amazing way. The standing ovation that he got, right, going off the mound, that was just amazing. It was great. And as Joel put it here perfectly, yeah, Joe Musgrove absolutely shoved. And I agree. It was just a great performance. I know he kind of had to grind a little bit in that last start that he had before this home opener, but I'm sure it was weighing on him, right? It was really weighing on him, all the pressure. And he said that he was thinking about it on Friday, the day after that opener. He was saying that it was weighing on him. He was really thinking about that start for a long time in spring. Even during spring training, he was thinking about it, just because of all the pressure. His family was going to be there. Being from San Diego, it's going to be sold out. Everyone takes the day off, and even the next day. I know my mom did that from work, took the next day off, just because of how big of a party that is at Petco Park every year, and like a holiday it is. So he knew that he was going to have a lot of pressure on him to go pitch well. And did he ever? So Thursday was a great game. They improved to 5-3 that game. Unfortunately, they'd lose the next two before winning on Sunday. But if you're just putting it as a perfect picture, and if I was to tell you Wednesday night, hey, Ben, or anyone's on YouTube here watching, hey, look, or on the podcast, hey, Musgrove's going to shove. He's not going to give up a run. Manny's going to have 5 hits. CJ's going to hit his first major league career home run, and it's going to be Oppo. That would have been amazing. They wouldn't have had to burn any key bullpen arms. It would have been Pedro Avila pitching, late in the game. That would have been great. So great day overall on Thursday. On Friday, though, They end up losing. This was the start of 3 straight games where they only scored 2 runs. This was, though, the MacKenzie Gore day, and I'll show a breakdown shortly. That was the story. I thought he pitched well for being his major league debut. Again, pressure on him as well, just like Musgrove had pressure on him. So I thought he pitched pretty dang well. Pre-game, Bob Melvin said that Wil Myers was dealing with a thumb swelling issue in that thumb index finger area. And AC said earlier this morning on Sunday that it was purple. So that's not great. But Myers, I was saying this on the pregame show earlier today, I wish Myers was healthy, but it's not like they're losing Machado, right? Myers was started off the season slow. He seemed lost at the plate. And so that's a good thing for me, at least it wasn't Manny. I'm not saying it's a good thing that Myers was hurt, but I'm saying that it was a good thing that it wasn't Manny that was dealing with this thumb injury, right? So that's to spin it the positive way. That's how I would at least spin it the positive way. But getting back to what Melvin said, Myers dealing with wellness, told Ben and Woods on Friday morning in an interview that Blake Snell is a ways away from returning to the major leagues, to pitching, and that Eric Hosmer has been receptive to Michael Berdara's recommendations. You know, they've been working in the cage a lot. So that was good news to hear as well from Bob Melvin, because this is a change from in past years. You know, this tweet that I put out got a lot of traction on Twitter of me saying what Melvin told Ben and Woods. And I think that it's good news, right, that he's being receptive finally. You know, it seems like that shows that he really wants to win, and he realizes I have my 10-5 rights at the end of this year. So if they don't trade, they really want to trade me here. If I don't get traded, okay, I can stay, right? I can opt in, I can stay, but he knows that he could get traded, and I think he wants to be on this team with Manny. He loves the clubhouse in there, his teammates. He doesn't really love the front office, but he loves the clubhouse, his teammates, loves Bob Melvin, it seems like, likes the coaching staff. He likes that at least Preller gave the Padres, you know, some veteran manager, veteran coaching staff, and likes the blend that they have in there as well. And I think he realizes that, look, I could get traded, so I need to be receptive to anything that this coaching staff is going to give to me. You know, any knowledge that they're going to, you know, give to me or recommend me do, so that I can stay on this team. Because what if it works? If it doesn't work, okay. You know, I was already sucking before, so why not try something else? I think he's realizing that, and hopefully that continues. You know, he's put together great at-bats these last couple games, while some guys weren't putting together great at-bats. They were swinging at pitches up here. Hosmer was putting together good at-bats, and I wish I put this out on Twitter earlier today at Talking Friars, that I hope that Luke Voigt was paying attention to the at-bat that Hosmer was putting together earlier today on Sunday Night Baseball. You know, I think it was double digits in the amount of pitches that was thrown in that at-bat. He ended up getting out, but he put the ball in play. It ended up being a line out, I believe, to Swanson. But getting back to Friday's game, MacKenzie Gore made his debut. His first hit allowed was an Albies home run to left center field. He struck out Albies in the first, though, for his first strikeout. Fastball up. Great, you know. Great pitch there. The second run that he gave up was a Marcell Ozuna bloop single that barely went fair. And then his final line, 5 1/3 inning, 2 earned runs. Again, Albies, and then the Marcell Ozuna blooper that barely went fair. Should have been a foul ball. Only allowed 2 walks, struck out 3, and then obviously that 1 home run. I liked what I saw out of MacKenzie Gore. I'll show you this breakdown that I have in a couple minutes after I get done with this game. 50 out of his 73 pitches for MacKenzie were fastballs. So he was relying on that fastball, topped out at 98.5 miles an hour per one report that I saw. And the slider, you know, just wasn't really working all the time. But that fastball, you know, increased velocity on that fastball, and he was throwing strikes with the fastball. You know, you can go back to that pitch if the slider's not working. And that's what I really liked out of that MacKenzie Gore start, for me at least. But for the rest of the game, before we get to that Gore breakdown, visual breakdown of the pitches and what I saw that I created, I believe, Saturday morning. In the 2 runs the Padres first scored, Kim RBI single. Machado had a bloop double scoring Kim. Kim had a really hustle play there. That was an amazing speed that Kim showed off there. That was with 2 outs, made it 2-2 after those 2 runs that MacKenzie Gore gave up. That was after 5 innings. In the top of the 8th, though, Pierce Johnson, Dinelson Lamet weren't great. They blew it for MacKenzie. Adam Duvall drove in 2 runs. One of those runners was from first base. And then down the left field line, that was that run that he drove in the 8th off Pierce Johnson. And then Lamet, that gave the Braves the lead. And then Lamet came in with a slider, a wild pitch that made it 5-2. Just was not really dialed in there, Pierce or Lamet. I did say on the recap, the post-game reaction that I have, by the way, after every single game on my social media channels, just like a 1-minute, 2-minute reaction for you on my thoughts on the game. I do pregame shows as well before every single game. It's more of an extended show. It's not a reaction, but more of a 30-minute type pregame show. Answer all your questions, lineups, what to watch for, Padre pick. The one guy I think will get a hit if I had to pick one Padre before every game. Matchups, MLB news around the game, Padres news, give my thoughts on that. So stay tuned for that as well. Before every game, I'll have a pregame show and then postgame reaction. But getting back to this game, Lamet, just the slider, and Pierce Johnson, it was kind of unfortunate that I think it was Travis d'Arnaud sneaked a single through the second that would have got him out of the inning. He snuck a single through the right side. Cronenworth, it was a hit and run, so Cronenworth went to cover second base on the steal, and that left open the second base side. And so credit to d'Arnaud, right? He poked it through the second side. He saw that Cronenworth vacated his second base normal position, poked it through, kept the inning going, and they end up scoring 3 runs later that inning. But it was unfortunate that that game ended that way. Padres offense scores 2 runs, only 2 runs. That would be 2 runs that they scored not just Friday, but Saturday and Sunday as well, which was really unfortunate. But it was unfortunate not just because it was 2 runs, but because Gore pitched well, I thought, in this Braves debut that he had, this major league debut. You're facing the second best offense, in my opinion, going into the year in the National League, and he's pitched really well. That fastball, jamming guys, including Guillermo Heredia. And so that leads me to this point. Again, Padres lose this game 5-2 to the Braves, and so they drop to 5-4, and they would end up being 5-5 after Saturday's game, which we'll get to in a minute. But I did want to show you this MacKenzie Gore breakdown that I had, that I put out on YouTube, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Talking Friars, breaking down MacKenzie Gore's start. So here that is right now. For the YouTube audience, you'll see the visual and my audio. And then for the podcast audience, I encourage you to look at the breakdown visually, but you also see me breaking down what I saw audibly of MacKenzie Gore's start. So here that is.
And you're breaking down MacKenzie Gore's MLB debut against the Atlanta Braves last night. Really effective with his fastball. When he wasn't effective with the slider, he went back to the fastball, and that really helped him have success last night, giving up only 2 runs. Here to Ozzie Albies, fastball up, boom. Great start. Didn't totally hit his spot, but that fastball, the increase in velocity with the fastball has really helped him make that pitch really successful. And to Ozzie Albies, a smaller hitter, that was really helpful there. And Matt Olson hits his spot, low and away, and that's what he liked doing yesterday a lot. He went up and into Guillermo Heredia, which you'll see, but here he's hiding the ball really well, hides it twice, and then boom, just whips it right out. So it's minimal time for the batter to see it. And then Olson here with the slider misses his spot, but again, he went right back to the fastball. When he missed his spot, he went back to what he was comfortable with, and that's how it really helped him have success here. Here, Marcell Ozuna, grounder down. Ozuna can't do anything with that. Perfect pitch. And then here to Duvall, fastball up, inside strike zone. And then the next 2 pitches here are paint. And this fastball, he loved doing that. Fastball outside on the black, and he saw a lot of success with that last night. Here's the jam shot I'm talking about to Guillermo Heredia. I love this pitch. Wasn't afraid to go in.
Look at him jam that in.
Number to Jake Cronenworth, and got himself out of the inning. Loved that pitch. Loved that sequence there. And then he made a mistake here to Ozzie Albies, okay? Yep, fastball middle. But when he made a mistake, it seemed like he bounced back. and he went right back to where he was comfortable with, went back to hitting his spots. Here's Matt Olson, good defense. Again, fastball away, hit his spot there. Okay, he made some mistake pitch here, double down the line, wants it to be out, ends up being middle actually, down the line. Okay, you're facing the second best lineup in the league, arguably, in the National League. So you're going to make mistakes. It's your big league debut. Shrug it off, comes back to Ozuna here. And here, this is a run, but it ends up being a good pitch. Doesn't hit his spot, but look, it's down. Can't do anything with that pitch. And guess what? Ozuna doesn't do anything with that pitch. Look how close that ball is to being foul. And maybe he gives up less runs than he ended up giving up and less hits. Here, so you go back to that Albie strikeout. I really liked what I saw out of Gore yesterday. Only gives up 2 runs, hit his spots with that fastball out.
Yeah, so there's the breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it. MacKenzie Gore, so just reiterating on that, I really liked how he used that fastball to his advantage, and he was hitting 90. He was topping at 98.5 miles an hour using that slider, and I think the Padres can really build on this with MacKenzie on the mound, and if he continues pitching like this, they got to keep him on the big league roster. They just do. What other choice do they have? This team, especially with the offense, if you're going to have a starting pitcher like this, as well as the rest of the rotation, like Manaea and Musgrove and Darvish so far, and even Martinez, I know we'll get to him the Saturday start that he had yesterday, but when this rotation's pitching like this, and you still have Snell and Clevenger on the shelf, but you have these 5 guys that are pitching pretty good, you got to keep riding that. So you can disagree. Yes, I do admit that he did have some balls that were hit pretty hard off of him. But at the same time, outs are outs. It's a results-based business. And he only gave up 2 runs. He kept the team in the ball game. And I think they should have won that game if they scored more than 2 runs and Pierce Johnson and Dinelson Lamet didn't, choke at the end. So that was Friday's game. Moving to Saturday's game, they end up losing 5-2 again. They lose by the same score. Padres scored 2 runs again. They lose by 3 runs for the second straight night in a row. Pre-game, the Padres traded Javi Guerra, who used to be in the bullpen, started at shortstop actually, and then moved to a reliever. Couldn't really control command. He got sent to the Tampa Bay Rays for cash, and not surprising, he got DFA'd. He was out of options, so the Padres had to make some sort of move. They wanted to get something back for him, and they ended up getting back cash. So it'll be interesting to see how the Rays use him. Our luck, he ends up, turning into one of the best relievers in baseball, but that's just our luck. But, he just wasn't going to work here. It was out of options. And if he wasn't going to pitch good for us at the big league level, there was no use for him. There was going to be another team that was going to pick him up or have interest in trading him. So that's just the way it was. That's just the way it was going to be. So Javi Guerra to the Tampa Bay Rays. Moving to Saturday's game, 5-2, obviously Atlanta beat San Diego, like I mentioned already. The second pitch of the game, Ozzie Albies homered again. Homers off Nick Martinez to right field, middle, not a good pitch to throw. In the second inning, Grisham did rob a home run, though. Robbed Manny Pena of a 2-run homer in center field. That was a smooth catch by Trent Grisham. I mean, my goodness. I'm going to try to find it here real quick. That was a smooth robbery that Trent Grisham pulled off. And then he ended up homering later in the game. It was a solo home run that really didn't mean much. But it was good to see Grisham gain some confidence, I think. Because at the plate, he was like Myers. He seemed a little lost. Trying to find this Grisham home run here. Again, my Wi-Fi stinks right now. It still sucks, so bear with me. Yeah, it's not loading. Just giving me the circle of death. So it's not working. But getting back to Grisham, had a home run later in the game. Profar hit his 3rd home run of the year as well. That was definitely a bright spot in this game. But Nick Martinez, he wasn't as solid as he was. I mean, he had to grind. He did grind through. I'll give him credit on that. He did grind through some innings and some at-bats. But he goes ends up going only 5 innings, gives up 4 earned runs, 7 hits. He walks 4, 3 strikeouts only, so wasn't really being effective swing and miss on Saturday. Olsen had an oppo solo homer after Albies in that game. He left Martinez did. He left a breaking ball to Marcelo Zuna. That made it 4-1 Braves. Ian Anderson on the other side of things, he was good. 5 2/3 innings, only allowed 2 hits, walked 1 guy, gave up that 1 home run to Profar, and he went 12 outs. And the Padres, this is more, I don't think on him, but I think it's more indicative of the Padres offense, where they went 12 outs. They let Anderson have 12 consecutive outs between the Profar home run and an Austin Nola single where they didn't get a hit. 12 consecutive outs without getting a hit. That can't happen. Ian Anderson, is he a good pitcher? Yeah. Is he a good young pitcher? Okay, but he's not Max Scherzer or Jacob deGrom or Walker Buehler or Yu Darvish or Sean Manaea. You know, they just have to have a better offense. You can't be striking out that many times. I mean, Friday's game, I think it was Friday's game, right? They struck out 16 times. You can't strike out 16 times and expect to go win a game. You know, that's what's frustrating is the strikeouts. And then Luke Voit as well strikes out 3 times in that game on Saturday. And Kevin Acee said in his newsletter earlier today on Sunday morning, he's struck out 12 in his last 23 plate appearances. That can't happen. You know, with Luke Voit, can you please just shorten your swing? My mom's in the chat here. Hi, Mom. Yeah, I think, look, Luke Voit, shorten the swing. I mean, my mom used to tell me that in Little League. Shorten the swing with the load. He has this big load and then is so violent with the swing. It's like, come on, man. Can you shorten the swing? With 2 strikes, just please shorten the swing a little bit. Or if you want to have the same violent swing, at least have like a toe tap. We've seen Bryce Harper have success with that. He tinkered with that a couple years ago, and guess what? He won MVP last year. He has that big, aggressive leg kick and swing like he always has in strikes 1 and 2, right? When he has no strikes, 1 strike, and 2 strikes on him. But then with 2 strikes, he has a toe tap and then swings. And he has enough power to still hit home runs with a toe tap or hit balls in the gap. Does Luke Voit still have the same power with a toe tap or still power enough to hit home runs with a toe tap or hit doubles with a toe tap? I believe so. So I hopefully it's not just me, you know, being psycho over here. Just change your approach a little bit, Luke. Please, just a little bit. And I hope that I know he's pissed off. He said to the media that it's pathetic, the streak and all the strikeouts and not hitting a home run yet. And I agree with him. And I like the self-accountability, right? But just change your approach a little bit. And striking out 16 times like they did on Friday and then having 12 straight outs without getting a hit against Ian Anderson, you're not going to win games. You're not going to set yourself up and set the bullpen up to win games. It's regardless of how good the starting pitching can be. You know, we saw that on opening day, right? Where, you know, opening day is not really a good example because they should have won the game. The bullpen just choked in the 9th inning. But there was that one game in San Francisco, right? Where they got a good pitching performance at, what was it, the Tuesday game or the Thursday game? And Matt Beatty almost won the game down the line with that double, but it ended up being foul, right? They almost won that game with good pitching, but the offense just didn't score enough runs for them, right? So it's just stuff like that. And then you scored 2 runs on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They scored 12 runs on Friday. They combined for half of those runs the next 3 games of the series. You can't do that if you're going to expect to win a bunch of games and win series instead of splitting series. You know, they split a series with the defending World Series champions. Going into this series, I would have been happy with that. I would have been like, okay, you know what? They split the series. That's fine. You know, you're facing arguably the second best offense in the National League, right? But it's the way that they split the series. You know, on Thursday, they come out and score 12 runs. And so if you're telling me that they would have, you know, Ben, they're going to score 2 runs each of the next 3 games, I would have said, no, I'm going to be disappointed in this. They're not going to split this series. So am I happy that they ended up splitting it? Yeah, considering that they just weren't able to produce good enough Friday, Saturday, Sunday, really offensively. Did they win 2-1 today? Yeah, but you're telling me that you're going to be able to do that this coming weekend against the Dodgers? I don't think so. So this approach, I think the approach needs to change, specifically with Luke Voit. And getting back to the end of this game, like Grisham had that home run, like I mentioned, but they combined for 4 runs the last 2 games, Friday, Saturday, and then 2 runs on Sunday. Myers dealing still with that thumb injury, so he didn't play Saturday, didn't play Sunday as well. But then Myers, it's not like Myers, I don't know if Myers would have been too much of help either because he was in a slump to start the season. So Padres lose 5-2 on Saturday. They end up dropping to 5-5 on the year. Just the offense was not good enough. Nick Martinez gave up 3 home runs, but still the offense just wasn't good enough. I'm going to put a lot on it on Martinez in that game because I think he should have been better, and I think he would tell you that. But it's both the starting pitching there and then the offense. I mean, Nick Martinez coming in, right? I thought it was an overpay, the contract that he got, $5.5 million more than he got pre-lockout, right? And then, so with that 5, he's in the 5-starter spot. So you can't expect him to give up 2 runs every start out. He's going to give up 4 runs sometimes, right? As the 5-starter. It's the Padres offense in their duties, their job to go out and score runs to go win the game. And they didn't do that. They didn't really do that this series. That's why they end up splitting after scoring 12 freaking runs on Thursday. Moving to Sunday's game, pregame, Austin Adams. Here's an injury update, a couple injury updates. Austin Adams got a second opinion, or he's going to get a second opinion on that forearm tightness with another MRI. After having an MRI, he's going to get a second opinion. So that's not good news. When a pitcher gets a second opinion on something, they don't get a second opinion because the first guy said, yeah, we like it. You're healthy. Go back and pitch. Go back and throw. They don't go get a second opinion because the first guy said something that they want to hear, right? They go get a second opinion because they got what they didn't want to hear. The first opinion probably said, doesn't look good. You're going to have to be out for a couple months, or maybe you should just go get Tommy John. That's why Austin Adams is going to go get a second opinion, right? So it's disappointing. It seems like he's headed for Tommy John surgery, and this is not something that the Padres wanted, not something that I wanted, not something that fans probably wanted. I know that some fans were pissed off at him last year because he was hitting the world. He was hitting like every other batter. He set a record for batters hit in a season. But it seemed like he was, for me, gut reaction, it didn't seem like going into this year that he was going to hit 23 batters or however many hit 30 plus batters or whatever the number was that he did last year, right? You can't do that again. It's kind of like the injuries for the Padres last year where they had everyone in the rotation hurt except Musgrove, right? And Machado was dealing with something the whole year, and other guys just got hurt. Morhone and Kella got hurt at the beginning of the year and were out with TJ. And now Morhone's still not ready yet, right? Drew Pomeranz couldn't stay healthy. He's still not ready yet. You didn't think that was going to happen again, that's going to happen again this year, right? We're early into the season, but you didn't really think that was going to happen again this year. And that's the same thing that goes with Austin Adams, right? You didn't think that he was going to hit the world this year, and it seemed like he was doing a little bit better this year, but it's unfortunate. It seems like he's heading for Tommy John or for a really significant period of time off, because when you go get a second opinion, that's not good news. You don't go get a second opinion because the doctor said what you wanted to hear for the first opinion. So that's one injury update. Mike Clevenger, rehab started on Tuesday, like I mentioned earlier, in El Paso. Maybe they bring him up to face the Dodgers after that El Paso start, if everything goes well, and they want to piggyback him and Gore, right? You have Clevenger, the righty. You have Gore, a lefty. Maybe you do it that way. Who knows? But go to Snell. He's throwing a side session on Tuesday. So just throw, it seems like flat ground. So we'll see. It might be on the mound, but we'll see how that goes. And then after the side session, do they do another one, or do they just go send him to Lake Elsinore, or do they have him face like Jose Azocar or someone like that during live BP, before the hitters hit, something like that? Do they have Tatis stand in the batter's box? We'll get to Tatis, by the way. Don't you worry about that, what he was seen doing today. But will they have Tatis go in there? Because I know that he's doing some virtual reality stuff and facing hitters, not swinging, not during dry swings even, but just loading, watching hitters. So maybe that happens. But that's the Snell, the Adams, the Clevenger injury updates. Now getting to today's game, we'll get to Tatis after I kind of recap this game. Padres end up winning this game 2-1. Again, 2 runs. That's not going to be good enough next weekend, I don't think, against the Dodgers. It's just not. It's just not. It was good that Luke Voit wasn't in the lineup. I think it's a good day to clear his head. You strike out 3 times the day before. You're not loading, you're loading still like that, but you're still having too much of a violent swing. I think with 2 strikes, just simmer down a little bit, Luke. Give him a day off, and you have Matt Beatty in there in right field. Abrams and Kim at second and short, respectively. In the bottom of the first, Hosmer popped out to Swanson. Profar as well with 1 out and the bases loaded. So that didn't help. The story of this game for me, just not being able to capitalize with runners in scoring position. The Padres end up going 0 for 9. Yeah, you heard that right. 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position in this series, or in this game on Sunday Night Baseball. So not great at all. And then, they don't come through there. Bottom of the second, the 2 runs that they got in this game weren't even well produced. Cronenworth, the second run, it was just a grounder to second base. The first run was because the starting pitcher couldn't, who's making his first road start of his career, couldn't find the strike zone and hits Nola with the bases loaded and lets the guy on third walk into home. So it's not like these 2 runs that they produced were home runs or whatever, That's not the way it was. And so that's concerning as well. So you can say, Ben, yeah, they won this game. They split. It's a results-based business, like I even said earlier in this episode tonight. But at the same time, the results are not encouraging because the offense is not producing runs for themselves, right? It's a ground out to second, and it's a hit by pitch with the bases loaded, because the starting pitcher can't throw enough strikes. So it's not like they're producing great. And that just, it's good that they're going to get to see the Cincinnati Reds this week, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before an off day Thursday finally, after 14 straight games to start the season. Feels like last year's start to their schedule last year. It feels like the same thing again. What was it, like 30 games in 31 days or something crazy like that? So they had the off day Thursday, and at least they're facing a weak Cincinnati team, and they don't have to face Turner Green. But getting back to the offense this series just wasn't good enough. They had guys not putting together great at-bats. Hosmer did, but there were guys that just were swinging at pitches up here. You had Luke Voit swinging at breaking balls and just not having a great approach. I keep going back to that, but that's just the way it was. It just is, just the way it was. So the offense, again, 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Yu Darvish pitched really well, though. You got to give hats off to him after struggling. His last 2 starts, so his first and third starts combined this season, 12.2 innings, so 12 2/3 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and 4 hits total. So that's the Yu Darvish I know. That's the Yu Darvish that I saw and, really was digging into the numbers at the first half of last year after, after that he had to deal with injuries, the hip, the back, right? But with today, he pitched really well. 6 2/3, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 1 home run that he gave up to who was that? Marcell Ozuna. And then no walks. 8 strikeouts, 64 of his 96 pitches were strikes. So I really like what I'm seeing out of Darvish. I really am. And it was encouraging. He's definitely the ace. Him and Manny have pitched really well so far this season for the Padres. And it's not really even a season. It's a week and a half, right? But at the same time, you got to just take what you're taking, right? Manny pitched good for the Padres, that 1 start in spring training. Then he's pitched well during the season. He starts the series opener against the Reds. And Darvish, besides that San Francisco start where the conditions were windy, just wasn't great. He ends up pitching well in his first and third starts of the season. So let me know what you think of Yu Darvish, what you thought of him, what you thought of Martinez and Musgrove this series as well, and MacKenzie Gore, Big Mac, making his big league debut. But I do want to get to what Tatis was doing, and I do want to get to A-Rod's comments during the K-Rod broadcast. That shows that he has no idea about the Padres. He has no idea what he's saying when it comes to the San Diego Padres. Who should we get to first? You want to get to A-Rod's comments first, or do you want to get to Tatis and him playing soccer before the game when he's supposed to be doing regular just cardio, and he was supposed to learn from his lesson of being reckless with the motorcycle. He wasn't riding a motorcycle, and let's get to Tatis first, I guess. This irritated me. On the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast, there were, Jacob, my cousin, he works at Petco Park, and he had videos that are at the Talking Friars Instagram on our story at Talking Friars on Instagram the last few days, right, of Tatis playing soccer, kicking the ball around. But then ESPN captured a video of him playing soccer at Petco Park before the game today. I'm not real happy that CJ was playing as well and Azakar. I mean, it's bonding, but come on, dude. You're in the starting lineup. Don't be playing soccer before the game. But that's just me. Maybe that's just me taking it overboard. But with the injuries the Padres have had, that's just what I'm thinking. That's just my thought process, right? But with Tatis today on the broadcast, this is what they showed. Okay? They literally showed Fernando falling on his butt while playing soccer today pregame. Here's the video, and I'll show it a few times. You got Azakar playing, I think Profar, and then Abrams in the yellow here. And Tatis here, he ends up falling on his butt after trying to do some soccer trick. I'm not into soccer. It's boring. I watch the USA team sometimes, the women's team, and the San Diego Waves sometimes, because they actually play like interesting soccer. Soccer is boring for me, but that's not the point here. Tatis, here's what he does. He ends up turning his ankle, it seems like, on the soccer ball. It's just stupid. Doing that. Can't you just play soccer and kick the ball around without doing these, nifty moves? Why do you have to do that? It's like he's trying to, there's quotes and sources and all that have said, oh, he's learned his lesson. He knows what he's doing. He knows that it hurt his teammates. Then why are you doing this? It just boggles my mind why he keeps doing this. And I don't want to just totally rail on the guy because I love him. Padres fans love him. This is the best dynamic player that I've seen in my lifetime as a Padre. Manny's really good, but Fernando can still do some things that Manny can't do athletically, right? And he's just amazing. If they're going to win a World Series, Fernando's going to be a big part of it. But for him to be doing this and rolling his ankle and falling on his arm, and guess what? Are we just going to forget that he's had the subluxations and the history of subluxations and falling almost on his shoulder like that? Why are you doing that? That's my big question here. Why? You can play soccer and kick the ball around like I saw this weekend. But to be trying to do these tricks when you're a baseball player and you've already dealt with injuries, why are you doing that? And here's Carl Ravage again. You say, oh, you heard him say, oh, on the broadcast. Yeah, because he knows what I know. The Padres aren't going to be happy about this. Here's Ravage again.
Oh, boy, now that. And enjoys soccer.
Oh, boy.
A couple of his teammates showing some boy, now that. And enjoys soccer with a couple of his teammates showing some boy, now that. And enjoys soccer.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Am I the only one that thinks this? Call me stupid. Call me dumb. Call me, fun hater. You don't like to have fun. Well, I think Fernando can have fun other ways than doing these soccer tricks when he's supposed to be rehabbing. You can get cardio in other ways than doing these soccer tricks and falling. You just don't have to do this. That's just me. Again, that's just me. Quan says Tatis needs to be bubble wrapped. I kind of agree. I'm not saying that he can't go play soccer before the game, but do you have to go play soccer aggressively before the game? Can't you just play to have some fun, kick the ball around? You don't have to play and be aggressive like we saw in the video. Yeah, and that's a good point, Hawkeye Dinger. The soccer stuff seems like something Tingler would allow, not Melvin. I agree. Like, this seems like Bob Melvin, is there not, this is something that I just thought of right now. Is there not something in his contract that says you can't be doing this stuff? You can't be doing this dumb stuff where you could risk injury? There was a report out earlier this offseason, right? Or it was during spring training, I think, where there was a report that said that the Padres, that in his contract, Fernando had that he can't ride motorcycles or something like that. And he still did it anyway. And the Padres aren't doing anything about it. Now, did they have a conversation with him? Probably, but they're not doing anything about it. It's like, I get you don't want to piss him off, but he's here for the next 12 years after this season. You know, he's the face of your franchise, a 6-WAR player. You know, you got to talk to him about this. Isn't there something about violating the contract that the Padres want to take seriously? Can't they take that seriously? If you can't ride a motorcycle, maybe it's not in there that you can't play soccer, but I'm pretty sure if they saw this today that they'd put in the contract now, you can't be doing these tricks and rolling your ankle and falling on your shoulder or falling on your arm that connects to your shoulder that's been subluxated a lot of times, that you can't do that. I think they'd put that in the contract. It just does not make sense. Fernando, why are you doing this? Time after time after time. It's like a parent, right? It's like a parent. They tell their kid, you know, you can't do this. Work on your homework before you go on your phone or go on your screen and watch movies, right? And then they do it again the next day. They're going on a screen before their homework. And then they make their kids sign a contract and say, you can't go on a screen before you do your homework. And then the next day, guess what? They're on a screen. They're sneaking on a screen before they do their homework. It's like, I know that might be a little bit of a stretch, but it's like, I hope you get the point. It's like, why does it keep doing this? You know, and I might be just emotionally overreacting, but I'm sorry. A lot of these season ticket holders and a lot of these casual fans that aren't season ticket holders, you think they just go to the game only for the food? There's a reason why it was sold out on Thursday and it was 38,000+ fans earlier today for Sunday Night Baseball, because those guys probably got their tickets before today. Why? Because they wanted to see Tatis play. They're buying their tickets to see Tatis and Manny together in the lineup. And now they're not seeing him. You can't tell me that fans aren't disappointed about this. Tatis is a main attraction for the Padres. And I'm not just trying to speak for their ticket office. I'm just speaking as a fan who has a mom who spends a lot of money for season tickets every year. And a lot of that money is going towards paying Fernando's contract for the next 12 years after this season. So I feel like I'm justified in being pissed off at him for seeing this, you know, and kind of just eye rolling at this, you know, just, it's like, come on, man. Can you be a little smarter? Like, I don't want to try to be just like the fun police, but I feel like he can have fun other ways. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I'm more on the right side of things here. So feel free to give your thoughts in the comments, what you think. We're at Talking Friars on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. On the social media channels, on YouTube. Again, I hope that you subscribe to this YouTube channel, put the post notifications on so you don't miss when any content comes out. Daily pregame shows before every game, post-game reactions after every game. Okay, At least there's someone on my side here. You're exactly right, says the Raven. Thank you. I hope I'm right. Like, it's just, why are you doing this? It just doesn't make sense. It's part of the coach's fault also, maybe a little bit, but the coaches know that the players are adults as well. And I think Fernando, he probably goes out there and says, I'm going to go do some cardio work. And Bob Owen and the coaching staff's like, okay, you're going to do some cardio work. And they saw the videos that he did previously this weekend. And those videos were him just kicking the ball around. They weren't him aggressively like playing, it seemed like, competitive soccer against teammates and falling down on his butt, and falling down on his arm. So I think there's the difference there. All right, let's move to A-Rod and some of the comments he made on the K-Rod broadcast today. One main comment that he made. There were some comments that irked me today. I mean, Michael K said, "Hey, Song Kim" at the beginning of the broadcast when he was announcing the rosters. A-Rod called Nick Saban Nick Sabian instead of Nick Saban. Michael K said someone told him in Baltimore this weekend that they don't think the Padres can ever win the World Series because it's too nice of a city and there's no urgency to get to the ballpark. I mean, are you kidding me? Holy cow. What a dumb comment that was. But I wanted to get to the A-Rod comment that he made regarding Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer was up at the plate during tonight's game on Sunday Night Baseball, and in this K-Rod cast is on ESPN2, and they're talking about Eric Hosmer almost being traded to the Mets and the trade rumors surrounding him. And A-Rod said this on the Padres wanting to trade Hosmer. Quote, "I don't get it. I love Hosmer," end quote. And then I think he said not just because he's in Miami, and then he probably talked about like the leadership and all that. But he literally said, "I don't get it. I love Hosmer." Well, guess what? I wonder why. I wonder freaking why you don't get it. Because you don't watch the games. You're not in tune with the situation. Come on, dude. Come on, A-Rod. I don't get it. I don't get why they want to trade Hosmer. Well, I'll tell you right now, A-Rod. He's earned less than $5 million of the $80 million that the Padres have given him in base salary over the last 4 seasons with the Padres. Now do you understand why they want to trade him? He's getting the clubhouse all pissed off just because the Padres are trying to upgrade their team and clear some payroll so that they can add and have more room to add to the team. That's what they're trying. That's what AJ Preller's trying to do. But no, I don't get why they're trying to trade Hosmer. I love him. This isn't 2015 anymore, buddy. Did Hosmer get off to a hot start? Was I commending him earlier in this episode for having good at-bats? Yeah. But guess what? This is what he does at the start of every season. So I don't want to hear it with, I don't get why they want to trade Hosmer. I don't get why this. I love him. It's because you don't watch all the games. Did you see earlier this week when he stepped on a Machado, I think, throw? He stepped into the base path to try to get one of the throws instead of going towards the ball like a first baseman's supposed to do. He's done that countless times. Do you not remember in 2018, his first year, where Bregman hit a pop-up in Houston? Easy pop-up, and it lets it go behind him. Do you not remember that, A-Rod? Like, come on. I don't get why the Padres want to trade him. I love Hosmer. Yeah, well, guess what? I loved Hosmer too with Kansas City. He hasn't been great with the Padres. That's why. The teammates can love him all they want. But when Hosmer's traded, after probably not playing well, if he does get traded, I think the players are going to recognize more room to go. Just going on. I'm back with the Hosmer point. Okay, I'm frozen. So now I don't think I'm frozen. Am I frozen? I don't think so. Sorry, my school Wi-Fi sucks. Anyway, going back to Hosmer, I just think the players will realize, the clubhouse will realize that the team, AJ Preller, the front office, is trying to upgrade by trading Hosmer because they see that every year Hosmer goes on this April stretch or the start of the season stretch, and then he falls back to the way he's been. The negative WAR, the defensive WAR guy, the 0 WAR guy, or the 1-win guy. That's not good enough for a contending team. You know? And Quan says, it's funny how the day after Manny said, I'm glad he's here and I'll be mad if he isn't, the next day Manny makes an incredible play and Hosmer drops the ball. Yeah, good point. Yeah, he just hasn't been great defensively. And A-Rod, it's just that comment just stupid. Like it's clear you have not been watching games or paying attention to the team, and you're just coming in here after watching the Timberwolves game yesterday and just coming in and briefly looking at the team, and you're saying, oh, Eric Hosmer, he has all those gold gloves. He's won a World Series. I like him. I don't get why the Padres are trying to trade him. How about you look at the situation a little bit? Look at the situation, please, before you say that. So that just irked me a little bit. Get into a Cincinnati preview. Okay, so Sunday, Padres win 2-1. Excuse me. Again, 2 runs, 6 runs combined in the last 3 games of the series. Offense just is not good enough right now. That's half the amount of runs that they scored in the first game of the series. So the 3 games of the series, the last 3, they had double those amount of runs in the first game of the series. Not great at all. So a Cincinnati preview here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before the off day. We got Sean Manaea going. He's pitched really well for the Padres against Nick Lodolo. That's at 6:40 p.m. Sorry, I have some burps right now. All right, let's see if I can get through this. The second game, Tuesday, Joe Musgrove, the Reds. There it is again. There's another burp. To be decided for the Reds on Wednesday. Jesus, man. On Wednesday, MacKenzie Gore gets his second start of the season in the big leagues. He's going up against Vladimir Gutierrez. That's at 110. So the Reds, Tommy Pham started off like 0 for plus 20 to start his season. The Reds right now are 2-8. They lost 9-1 to the Dodgers today. So this is a series that the Padres have to win. They have to win it. I think they should sweep they have Manaea, Musgrove, and Gore. 3 guys that have pitched really well from what we've seen so far this season and in spring training. And if you count MacKenzie Gore's AAA start, 5 shutout innings. So this is a sweepable series, I think, if the offense can get it together. Shoot, even if they score 2 runs this series, they should win 2 of these games. That's just how bad this Reds team is. Man, I have really bad burps right now. Holy cow. But 640, and 110 are the 3 game times for the Padres in this series, all on Valley Sports and 97.3 The Fan. All right, so here's the Reds, this Dodgers series. They didn't score more than 3 runs in any game. 3 runs on Thursday, 1 run on Friday, 2 runs on Saturday, and then 1 run today. So they're like the Padres offense the last 3 games. So not good for the Reds, and this is a time Padres need to capitalize. Right, last year, they split that 4-game set earlier in the year in Pittsburgh. They're not able. They get swept in Colorado a couple times by Colorado against the Rockies at Coors Field, right? Who else? They got no hit by Tyler Gilbert, who was making, I think, his first career start, right? His first career major league start last year, and they got no hit by them. Tommy Pham had that fly out the center to end the game. So that's what happened last year. That was part of their collapse. They weren't able to beat the teams that they should have beaten, right? They shouldn't have. Or they beat the teams they should not have beaten. I'll put it that way. This year they need to do that. They need to sweep this series, I think. They should sweep the series. I think Man, these burps, holy cow. Man, there it is again. Getting back to my point, I think the Reds, they're just not a good team. This is a series that the Padres need to win, and I think they should sweep. Especially when they score 2 runs each game, the last 3 games of the series. Please go sweep this series and make me feel good about myself and feel good about where the Padres are going into this series, going into this Dodgers series, because 2 runs a game for the next 3 games against the Dodgers this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's not going to be a good recipe for success. That's a recipe for disaster. Kwan says, let's be real. A-Rod is a tool. Last year he kept on saying, channel your inner Tony Gwynn. Yeah. I already added my rant on A-Rod. He's so focused on the Yankees and the Mets and other teams, and go focus on those teams, dude. Don't act like you know what you're talking about with the Padres and say, I don't get it why the Padres want to trade Hosmer. That's just an idiotic comment. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I had some burps at the end there, but I'm human. Hope you enjoyed my passionate rants there with Tatis and A-Rod and the offense. Hope you enjoyed the visual breakdown as well. This has been episode 150 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show, presented by GAGLIONE Brewers Famous Cheesesteaks and Garlic Fries. I can't even finish the dang sponsorship because I'm having burps. There it is again. All right, I better end this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back for Jim Callis, an episode with Jim Callis tomorrow, talking about Padres prospects, MacKenzie Gore, CJ Abrams as well. Stay tuned for that. That's before the Padres game tomorrow. I'll go live for that interview. So I hope you'll tune in for that. The hiccups. Yeah, my mom put it there. Yeah. Man, these hiccups are bad. All right, have a good night, everyone. Stay safe. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully the Padres can start scoring some more runs. See ya.